outside every day. Hey, there's a lot of people in Western Canada that listen to that show that weren't just from Calgary. They were also from Saskatchewan. And then, these guys would be out working the fields and so on. They wanted to get some laughs in with a little bit of the sports. So what you want to do is be an entertaining guy, and hopefully you have the chops to actually do that. And then on the other side, you call someone who can explain all those things better than I can, better than any probably morning guy can, because there's a reason why they're a morning guy, because they were probably, for the most part, in broadcast and maybe not a great athlete. Look, my background is weird. It's different. I played at a very high level of sports, but I also started doing stand-up when I was in grade 12. Freak and weird. I was a goalie and a drummer. All the weird stuff that goes into this brain where I hear the voices. I'm sitting there looking at a football game. All of a sudden, I hear Peyton Manning going, what he should have done. What he should have done was you got to pull that back. You got to make them read into when you're going to play action pass. You don't just run with it, dummy. That's not RPO. This is what goes on in his head. This is what I have going on. Bob Cole,
I get it.
All kinds of stuff is going on there.
I don't even think it's weird.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so mean. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Hello, Canada, and our U.S. viewers. Welcome to the RP Show. A brand new week, brand new location, back home in the Sunshine State after a wonderful summer in the Great White North. Canada's daytime sports talk show is on the air, live from, as you can see, Johnny O's Gymnasium, Florida's only, and, largest, not only, outdoor turf workout facility. Workout with the pros at Johnny O's. I'm here. Moose is in Toronto. One half of the program. Please welcome in Darren Moose DuPont. We've got a lot to get to. We got breaking news on this Monday as well. Moose, on episode number 1328 of Canada's daytime sports talk show, coming your way on the Game Plus television network. And, of course, on the radio, WQEE Atlanta 99.1 FM. That's if we don't get blown out of here. We got the thunder rolling. We had some rain this morning. Welcome back to Florida. What's up, Moose?
Yeah, welcome back to Florida. I'm good, man. I'm good. Rested and relaxed from a nice Labor Day weekend. So good to get back
good
on
for
with
you.
you.
I'm glad that you're relaxed. Hey, here's the guest today from Sports Grid TV. Joe Madden's going to be joining us to talk about our recap of Week 1 of college football season and a preview of Week 1 NFL season. And from author Jonathon Jackson, the author of the book, The Making of Slapshot, coming up in hour 2. So we're excited to talk to him. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll get down to business, blah, 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 blah.
How about that?
We have breaking news. We have breaking news on this Monday. I know a lot of the football fans have come here to talk about the gridiron, and we will. But they are celebrating in Edmonton today, Darren, as you well know. The Edmonton Oilers have signed Leon Draisaitl to an 8-year contract extension worth $112 million. Draisaitl's $14 million salary cap hit beginning next season is the highest in NHL history. Draisaitl and Connor McDavid helped the team reach Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, as we know, this past spring. Draisaitl, the league's MVP back in 2020, was set to be an unrestricted free agent next summer. So I think we all kind of knew it was coming, but there was that little hint that maybe it wouldn't. And a year ahead of time, Neon Leon has signed with the Oilers. So your thoughts on that? I'll just say this. Did we honestly think this wasn't going to happen? Because I didn't.
No, I didn't either. I think what's good in all of this is they get it done before the start of the season, before training camps. to avoid any distraction that could possibly be drummed up by the media. I don't think this was ever a question of if. It was always a question of just when and how much. And, I've had people in my inbox this morning, man, 14 million, really? And they get confused. They're saying he's not worth more than McDavid, or shouldn't be the highest paid player in the game. It really has nothing to do with that. It's all about when you sign. And the cap keeps going up. McDavid will leapfrog him on his next contract. Matthews will do the same. When you're a top 5 player in the National Hockey League, the next top 5 player to sign will be the highest paid player in the league, and the one after that will be the next highest paid player. It's just the way the game works.
It's really interesting that you would say top 5 player in the National Hockey League, because in my mind, I thought top 4 for sure. I think we all agree on the top 3, McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon. And then Leon's right there knocking on the door. I don't even know who the 5th would be, but the Oilers got it out of the way just ahead of training camp, which reminds me, can you hit the quick 6 show horn again, please, Director Jordan, please? And we'll get down to the thank you.
Let's go.
That's the breaking news. We got all week to talk about it, but it is falls for football. Welcome to fall, man, although I looked it up. The first official day of fall is September 22nd, but as far as Labor Day, fall begins when Labor Day weekend's over, and we're going to start. Listen, we got the Canadian Football League stuff coming up. Or we're going to talk about some NFL first, because let's be honest, it's the big story aside from the Draisaitl thing from what I can see. Week 1 in the NFL opens on Thursday with the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs, and I feel like it's going to be a hell of a football game, but I don't think anybody would deny that the Chiefs are going to win as they kick off this season to be three-peat winners the first time since the 1960s Green Bay Packers. Your Titans open up against the Chicago Bears. I want to preface and warn everybody a disclaimer. You're going to hear so much bunk and gobbledygook from people like us, but everywhere. This morning here at Johnny O's, I was pounding away on the treadmill, Darren, listening to Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. I've settled in on him being my favorite analyst right now, Mike Florio. He's like, how soon before Caleb Williams hits 4,000 yards passing? Is it this year? Is it next year? How soon before he becomes the first Bears quarterback to throw for over 30 touchdowns in a season? I'm like, whoa. And you wonder why guys crumble from pressure and expectations. Hadn't even played a game, and they're anointing him the greatest quarterback in Chicago Bears history. Don't listen to this stuff, is what I'm saying.
No, but it sure is fun to talk about. When you think about, especially for Bears fans, and I think this is why guys like Mike Florio will drop little breadcrumbs like that, because Bears fans will eat it up because they haven't had a quarterback with any sort of hype. I mean, Justin Fields, they thought was going to be the guy. There was other quarterbacks they thought maybe, but none with this much promise and this much pomp and circumstance surrounding Caleb Williams. They're excited that they might finally have an elite quarterback.
And America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, open at the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Are going to have our way with the Cleveland Browns. Tony from George Fox Country tuning in. Sorry, Tony. Your Stampeders lost on Monday, and your Browns are going down in week 1. So, listen, we got all week to talk about predictions and stuff. Here's a more fun discussion. Taylor Heineke was watching Netflix on Wednesday when he got a call from Falcons coach Raheem Morris that he'd been traded to the Los Angeles Chargers. Ironically, Heineke had just been watching Jim Harbaugh and the 90-minute documentary on the University of Michigan's sign-stealing controversy. Heineke participated in his first practice yesterday for Coach Harbaugh as the Chargers prepared for Sunday's NFL opener against the Las Vegas Raiders. So be that as it may, you want to talk about how your life can change in an instant? There's a very good example of it. What's the most intriguing division? I could nod off to sleep when I hear all these pundits going off about what's the toughest division in the NFL, and we've been guilty of that. But I'll ask you, what's the most intriguing? As I said, everybody's talking about the same thing, but everybody's putting their own little twist on it. It's like the food scene in New Orleans. Every restaurant serving gumbo, jambalaya, and crawfish, but they're putting their own little spin on how they do it. And that's what we're doing. So I got to be honest, the AFC West, with Jim Harbaugh showing up with the Chargers and Sean Payton there with the Broncos, year 2, There's a case to be made that that's the most intriguing division in the National Football League. And that's what I'm going to say with the AFC West. How about you?
I'm going to say the AFC North. I'm really intrigued because you got Joe Burrow coming back from injury in Cincinnati. You've got the two quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. Baltimore's Super Bowl and Lamar Jackson. They got Derrick Henry in the backfield. And what is Cleveland going to look like? I really have no idea with their offense, Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper. So for me, that's the division I think is the most intriguing.
By the way, going to turn our attention to the CFL here in a second, but Mandy in Edmonton writes in, she says, I see. I would think McDavid and Draisaitl would want to stay together if possible. That's a really good question, but to be honest, I think they just want the bag. They all just want the money. As a matter of fact, I know it. Having talked to enough NHL players and pro athletes in my life, they just want as much money as they can, as fast as they can, and not get out when they can. But I really do believe it's all about the money. Just on Wednesday, by the way, there's a Stanley Cup party that I've been invited to, Darren, and you'll see photos on my social media and so forth. Look how many guys bounced after winning a Stanley Cup here. There was guys bounced before they won a Stanley Cup last year, like Radko Gudas and guys like that. We were surprised that would leave. I do think Draisaitl wants to win in Edmonton for sure, but I think he also wants to be paid even more. There was no hometown discount, by the way, to stay in Edmonton to win with this team. That's my point. The Oilers have two of the top four players overall in the National Hockey League, and now two of the top four highest paid as well. So anyways, Randy in Winnipeg writes and he says, Chargers 24, Vegas 20. Go Bolts! Scott in Vancouver says, no quarterback in Chicago since McMahon, really. No, you're right, but Jay Cutler did some nice things there. But you got to win. That's the deal. You got to win. The RP Show warm-up is brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use the promo code RP Show for 15% off now. Check us out at seatgiant.ca. Point two, the so-called Canadian Football League underdogs enjoyed a rewarding Labor Day. The last-place Hamilton Tiger Cats knocked off the visiting Toronto Argonauts 31-28 in the East Division battle, while the last-place Edmonton Elkamos beat the rested Stampeders 35-20 in Calgary. Quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell threw for 347 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Elks. For the Ticats, while Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson threw for 486 yards and 3 touchdowns for Edmonton. So, Darren, I'm old enough to remember when Bo Levi Mitchell was written off as being washed up. I'm that old. I can remember it. Bo Levi being written off. All the games were on CBS Sports Network yesterday. I watched them, 6 hours of football. Watched it here in the USA. You and I were both wrong. Were we not? I got to go back and check the picks. What were our picks? Did you tabulate them up?
We both picked Toronto to win that one for sure.
Right.
And it was a good game for Bo Levi. Well, I took Edmonton. That's the one that I got. So I got a game on you. But no, actually, look, Bo, they're calling him Mr. Labor Day. Right? They're calling him Mr. Labor Day. And for good reason. 7-0 on Labor Day. I've already started penning my Wednesday column and, talking about that game and about Bo. That win keeps Hamilton's season alive. They got Toronto once more. They've got Ottawa twice. They need to win all 3 of those head-to-heads against the teams they're chasing and then probably get a little bit of help. But Hamilton's very much still alive in the East and a shot at the playoffs still.
902 518 3033. Hang on. I'm just checking. I'm just checking the text line here. My bad. I should have done this before. Mark Hodge is watching in Canton, Georgia. Interesting. How about this? Mark in Canton, Georgia is listening on WQEE radio right now, and he says, most intriguing division? The West and the CFL. 5 minutes in, He's watching from Atlanta. Let's have some Elks talk. They're going to take the third spot in the West. Signed, Mark in Atlanta. Canton is a suburb of Atlanta. So I'll get to that in a second. Yeah. So the most... Wait. Bud Grant always said that, by the way, Mark, in Atlanta, the legendary coach of the Blue Bombers and the Vikings, that the most intriguing division in pro football is the CFL West. So we got the comments coming in here. Let's just just slow down. We got a lot to get to here with everybody. That's the thing about fall. Fall's for football. Everybody's playing. And it's a lot of excitement. We haven't even got to the college scene yet. So, Mr. Labor Day. Zach Caleros goes in with Winnipeg on Sunday and wins in Saskatchewan. Zach's 7th all-time Labor Day win. Ties, hey, Johnny, ties him. There he is. There's the man. Johnny O, come around here, John. Here's the man. I know that's my co-host, John, right there. Coming in here. There he is.
Johnny.
That Joe, Mr. Florida. Yeah.
How you doing, pal?
You want to
I'm doing well.
Talk to you, Darren.
slide in?
Good to see you. Heard a lot about
Where
you.
are
Got to
you
come
at?
visit. I am in Toronto.
Where are you located? Okay.
I'm in Toronto. Yeah.
Well, we got to get you down here to South Florida during the winter. You're at the place
100%.
you need to be right now, but in a couple of months, man, you got to come down and do this live right here with Mr. Rod.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
How are things going?
Things are great.
You excited for the hockey season? They got to go to camp in the next couple days, I'm guessing, right?
I know. How you feeling about your Boston Bruins?
I'm feeling pretty good. I know they picked up a couple of new players that hopefully will put them in the right direction. So that's exciting.
There you go.
I can't wait to start
Good.
watching some hockey, man. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Looking forward to
I'm
it.
happy to have him here because he educates me all the time with what's going on. Yeah. All right. Here's
Good.
Rod. We'll talk to you, my brother.
All right, Johnny.
Be good.
I don't want to rip your ear off.
No,
All right, gotcha,
no.
man. Thank you. Thanks for this, Johnny. All right, there you go.
Live television,
He
baby.
exists. Johnny O, he exists. Now you know. I didn't even hear what you guys were talking about. You asked him about the Panthers? Because you should ask him about the Bruins if you're going to talk about any hockey.
I did ask him about the Bruins.
Okay, good. I couldn't hear what you were saying, so I apologize. So we're just settling in, okay, to our football talk. We have the breaking news today. Leon Draisaitl has signed the highest cap hit in NHL history with the Edmonton Oilers. What is it, 112 million? So that's the breaking news today. Leon is under contract long-term for the Oilers. We're just getting into the CFL talk, so hang on. From WQEE in Atlanta, Ryan O'Radio checks in. He says, Atlanta's sports fans, the RP Show, Atlanta's real sports talk show. So, Darren, yeah, we're coming in hot, cooking with gas on this Tuesday, episode number 1328. We will be right back. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube as always, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, we're back. Hockey fans, or actually hockey players, are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary with state-of-the-art shooting lanes and top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels, whether you're prepping for the big game or you just want to have some fun. Check them out. Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. Okay. Let's please bring the Moose in. I'm just going to run through the other points, Darren, and then settle in on what everybody else would like to talk about. The Toronto Blue Jays open a two-game series with the Philadelphia Phillies at Rogers Center tonight. Chris Bassett starts on the mound for the Jays, while the Phillies counter with Tyler Phillips. The Jays sit last, as we all know, in the American League East. 8 games out of the final wildcard spot. Are you going to any Blue Jays games this week? Is that on your docket?
I am not. I'm actually headed back to the homeland for football this week, so I will not be checking out the Jays.
Okay, good show. And a college note from Monday night. Bill O'Brien cautioned it was just one win, but what a massive first win of 2024 it was for Boston College and for the Bill O'Brien era. Trayshawn Ward totaled 138 yards of offense, including a 13-yard touchdown reception against his former team as Boston College stunned number 10 Florida State 28-13 Monday night. The Seminoles, viewed as a contender for a spot in the 12-team college football playoff, dropped to 0-2 for the first time since 2021. Joe Madden joining us next segment from Sports Grid TV to talk college football, week 1 takeaways, and all the rest. I do want to settle back in on this, and we also have a couple hockey notes, not least of which is today's breaking news that Leon Draisaitl has signed a new multi-year contract with the Oilers. The highest cap hit in NHL history will hit the Oilers books in 2025-26. But the very fun poll question is this. It comes out of Saturday's Touchdown Pacific in the Canadian Football League, where Nathan Rourke, the former Falcons quarterback, shout out Atlanta, WQEE, now of the BC Lions, they were playing in Touchdown Pacific in Victoria, BC. The BC Lions against the Ottawa Redblacks. BC thumped him 38-12, but at halftime, Nathan Rourke, depending on your take of the situation, either big-time Farhan Lalji, the halftime reporter from TSN, sideline reporter, blew him off, abruptly left hanging on the sidelines, Farhan. And I kind of took Nathan Rourke to task for that, saying, you got to do your interviews, bro. You're going to be the highest paid player in the Canadian Football League next year, making actually NHL minimum salary. Do the interviews. And before we get to the poll is simply this. Should we even be doing halftime and intermission interviews? 68% of respondents saying no. Put me down as a no as well. My guy David over here said no. We're not getting anything insightful. And I had this chat this morning on Edmonton Radio on Sports 1440 with Kevin Carius and Eddie Steele. I'll get to what their opinion is in a second, but what's yours on the whole Nathan Rourke scenario, and why are we even doing these interviews?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. I have a couple of schools of thoughts. He did leave Farhan hanging. He left TSN hanging. I didn't necessarily think he was outright like disrespectful to Farhan necessarily, like to the point where he didn't like Farhan or Farhan's questions, but he was disrespectful to the interview, to the audience, and to TSN for the way he just jumped off the set. And I get it, but interviews are part of it. And I vote that we should be doing these interviews. But I also would have predicted
I knew you
that the poll results would be what they are. Not surprised by that, because do I really care what they say in the interviews? No. Do I expect you to care, or the coaches, or anything insightful for the headlines? I don't. But again, this is about marketing. It's about growing the game. Every opportunity that you have to put your stars without their helmets on in front of the audience and just give us a little bit of their personality, the way they speak, the way they, interact with the interviewer, that's a good thing for the game.
I knew that you would disagree with me, and I'm cool with it. Put Darren down as a yes, put me down as a no. If you want to get the players, I agree what you're saying, and that was the argument from Kevin Carius, the host on the radio in Edmonton today. He's like, for marketing purposes, everything you just said, the fans need to see the players' faces. I would submit this, as a guy that's only been in this perilous trade for 36 years, maybe have the guys get their ass out of bed and go down to the local television stations in the morning shows. They all got them. CTV, Global, here in Florida, you can't throw a stone without hitting one. And talk to the... I'm watching the game. I already know what Nathan Rourke looks like. Okay? I already know what Paul Maurice looks like. Let's get the players out in front of the people that wouldn't normally be watching sports. That's all that I'm saying. But they don't do those interviews anymore. They don't do those junkets anymore. But again, 68% of respondents saying no, they're not necessary for all the reasons that I said. They're not insightful. And the viewers don't look at it from the marketing angle and business angle like you and I do. It's just a waste of time. We're not getting anything insightful. Karen writes in. She says, good morning, Mr. Rod and Mr. Moose. This is your friend from Santa Ana, California. Karen, I just thought I'd stick my head in and say hello. I'm still subscribed and can't wait for hockey to start. Stay safe. She also says, Mr. Moose, you did an excellent job substituting for Rod last Friday. John says, hey, Rod, let us know how your golf tournament went. It went really well. It was, people haven't heard of airplanes. Like, I was on the radio in Edmonton this morning, and Carius and Eddie Steele were having a big joke with the fact that I was down here in Florida already talking about the Canadian Football League. And I said, I was just in Regina hosting an alumni event Saturday, the Rough Riders and Bombers alumni golf tournament. And they're like, ooh. Yeah, I can do that. Get on a plane, fly here. Not that hard. The Blue Bombers cheerleader alumni were there at the golf tournament. And let me tell you, Moose, those gals like to rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of fun. And what I realized so we did just because it's fun. This is why they pay me the big bucks to host these things. Get people laughing. Get them in a good mood. I said to Ricky Regina, who was hosting this thing, I said, let's do some Labor Day trivia. Okay, he's like, yeah. I said, how many questions should we do? I'll bring him off the top of my head. I got him. You know me. I read the game notes. And how many years Labor Day? What year Labor Day is this? Could you answer that? Sunday's game? How many was it?
Yeah, it was 60, right?
59. You're close. How many had Sask won and still won because they didn't win on Sunday? How many they won out of the 59?
Yeah, it was only a handful more than Winnipeg. I remember reading this number on Friday.
38. 38. Do you want me to stop?
No, keep going.
Lobbing
it's
these
good.
at you? Okay. I had them all up here. 4 quarterbacks are tied for the most wins in Labor Day history, in CFL history. Can you name one of them?
4 quarterbacks most? Oh, boy. Dave Dickinson.
Bernie Filoni, Danny McManus, Zach Caleros, Bo Levi Mitchell. And Bo and Zach both won this weekend, so they now have 7. Now, there's only 2 guys that have won the most. Those 2 guys still playing. And then, here's where I said I had to update my trivia questions. Because he used to tell this joke. Dave Ritchie and Cal Murphy jump off a tall building. Who lands first? Who cares?
I don't know, Rod.
And I had a guy come up to me. Had a guy come up to me and say, well, I actually switched the names to Wade Miller and Mike O'Shea. Okay? Some guy, he's like, oh, I can't believe you said that. And I said, why? And he goes, nobody does that offside humor anymore. I'm like, oh, am I not supposed to? So anyways.
Oh, no.
Beyond, coaches of the Esteban Bruins watching the show say hi. Signed, Jason and Drew. Thanks, boys. Go Bruins. John Ohm, regarding the halftime interview, says it's usual jock talk with halftime interviews. Who cares? That was the question. Why are we doing these interviews? They don't mean anything. I know why they do. I just don't care for it. We got all show to answer your questions, everybody, about the Labor Day games and how much trouble are the Rough Riders in, which, by the way, it's big trouble. I will say there's never been a year. Don't look now. We're entering the final third of the season. The final third. It went fast. Where the 5th place team could finish first. The 1st place team could finish 5th. There ain't never been a year like this, I don't think, Darren. And the winner's the fans. What do you think?
The winner is absolutely the fans. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, I sit here, and Jim Barker came on the show Friday, and he said, look, if Winnipeg or Saskatchewan sweep the home and home, it's going to go a long way, not just to securing a playoff spot, but to putting them in the front, in the driver's seat for first in the division. Well, Winnipeg has that opportunity now to win the Banjo Bowl and really put their foot in the driver's seat for first in the division. BC probably has something to say about that. Heck, all teams do. But I'm trying to think, who's going to miss? 2 of these teams are going to miss the playoffs. Edmonton doesn't look like a team that's going to miss the playoffs the way we watched them play on Labor Day weekend. Winnipeg doesn't look like a team that's going to miss the playoffs. And so, and neither does BC if they play like that. So if I'm really Calgary and Saskatchewan, I'm very uncomfortable this morning.
We're running out of time here, but I'll read a couple messages. Wayne from Victoria, BC says, I just wanted to say that the CFL is as competitive as I've ever seen. Even the Ticats have an outside shot at the playoffs. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hi, Rod, this Argos secondary is a joke. Deshaun Amos got obliterated and did what he got out-coached. If you can't get your team ready for Labor Day, your team's in trouble. Bo, watching in Saskatoon, writes in, he says, even with the loss, it was a good game. We gave them 8 points and almost got them back for the win. Had a great time watching with the Riders and Bombers. Also had Mr. Bob Poley sitting in front of us, too. Bob Poley and I and Lorne Mulliken, the former head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, will be hosting a sportsman's dinner, by the way, October 19th at the Wolseley Sportsplex. We're going to get to all those questions next hour, but I just want to ask you this. Johnny Gaudreau, I have not talked about him on this program because I wasn't on Friday. The accident happened Thursday night. I felt bad that you had to host the show Friday but it's no time like the present for you to learn. That's a crappy show to do when you got news like that with the Gaudreaus. Johnny and Matthew killed on Thursday night. Good job getting through that. There's no silver lining in that, Darren. How'd you make out?
No, there's not. And my biggest, challenge, because I was, listening to the coverage all morning, my biggest challenge was it's supposed to be a fun and exciting Labor Day weekend for all the football fans that watch on a football Friday. So how do you take a somber mood, still give the football fans, some excitement for the weekend? So we tried to give the Gaudreaus their time and then tried to, as best we could, transition and still have some football fun. And I think we accomplished that.
You did a great job. I felt bad for you, but that's how you earn your stripes in this tough business. Okay, we'll get to your questions and comments when we return. College analyst, betting expert Joe Madden joins us next from Sports Grid BC. So if you have questions or comments for her, NFL, college related, fire them our way in the break, 902-518-3033. We'll be back in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio as always, live streaming on YouTube and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Back home in Florida and live on the Game Plus television network. You can reach us at 902-518-3033 in the studio, which is Johnny O's Gymnasium. Please bring in Joe Madden from the Sports Grid TV. And I'm just going to read this. Trayshawn Ward totaled 38 yards of offense, including a 13-yard touchdown reception against his former team as Boston College. Stunned number 10 Florida State 28-13 Monday night. Hey, Joe, I saw your tweet last night. You were like, this was in the second quarter. And you were like, what's up with the Knoll? Are they done? Are they done, Joe?
They've got to be done here. You look at that performance last night, and I still can't believe what we saw. Boston College being able to just dominate over them. And in week 0, Georgia Tech. I think they're completely done out there. I hate to say it. They needed that bounce back last night. I don't understand the gameplay either. I really do think DJU, they should have been allowing him to use his legs more. We know he's a mobile quarterback. He had -5 rushing yards in that game last night.
Well, I'll tell you, let me just go back. I think we were all stunned by what happened in Dublin, the Knolls losing on a walk-off field goal. Then they come home to Tallahassee on a Monday night, and you're thinking this is going to be their game. If they can't show up against Boston College, I can't see how this season is salvageable. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. They cannot start out this season 0-2 and be able to get things back. They were a huge favorite yesterday versus Boston College in week 0. They were a huge favorite over Georgia Tech over in Dublin. This team just can't get it together. Other teams, both of these teams coming out, were able to really dominate that line of scrimmage, especially when you look at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech just killed it in the line of scrimmage over Florida State. And we saw it again last night. Florida State looked a complete mess out there. And I think they're done, Rod. I think the season's over. Might as well not come out to their third game.
Unbelievable. I didn't see that coming. What were your other week 1 takeaways?
You know what? There was so many fantastic games. It was phenomenal. Notre Dame coming into Texas A&M in that hostile environment, able to pull off the upset, was huge. Riley Leonard looked so phenomenally strong out there. I was so impressed by that. You've got to look at Texas and what Quinn Ewers was able to do out there on the field. I was impressed by them as well. Hard matchup this coming week with Michigan. I didn't expect them to show so many of their plays out there, so little surprised by that. We'll see what they bring to Michigan. But then Miami U going into the swamp and beating Florida. I tell you, the way they beat Florida there was so impressive. Cameron Ward, I have so much faith in. I think he's special. I think Miami U has an elite quarterback with him, and it's going to be a great season for them. But going back to Notre Dame, Rod, is anyone going to beat this team this season? You look at that offensive line, the way they were able to open up lanes. I don't think that they lose a game this season. At worst, maybe 11-1 this season, but I think they could go undefeated.
Oh, how about that?
How about that?
Hey, by the way, the biggest Canes fan I know is seated about 15 feet from me, David. And he doesn't want to get too excited about Miami going into the swamp and winning. Can he get excited about this Miami Hurricanes team? How good are they, do you think?
You know what? They're going to be the best in the ACC. You look at Cameron Ward, and what he brings as their quarterback is going to be phenomenal. The way they were able to beat Florida, how strong they came out and performed. I really do think this is the year you get so excited about Miami U and what they can bring to the table. I think they make it deep this season, Rob.
This Saturday, the Hurricanes are home to Florida A&M, and the Rattlers quarterback coach is one Henry Burris. Will be in attendance. I can't wait to be there. I did ask the viewers for questions for you. David in Winnipeg writes in, and he says, for Joe, I have a fantasy football draft tonight, and what's the consensus top 3 picks? I feel like it's quarterbacks, but in years past, it's been running back. Do you get into the fantasy football thing, or do you stick with straight betting?
Of course I get into fantasy. How many fantasy leagues do you want to be in this season, Rod? Because I think I'm in 4 right now. I've got a couple of drafts going off tonight. And here's my strategy when I look at fantasy. So in the first round, I take the best wide receiver or running back on the slate that is left. Second round, I do the same thing. And then in the third round, I take whatever I haven't got. So if I was able to get a wide receiver in the first and second round because they were the best players out there, then in that third round, I'll go after a running back. And if it landed where I got 2 running backs, then I'm going after a wide receiver. Fourth round, my quarterback. That's my strategy.
There you go, David in Winnipeg. You hit her with a good one. Randy in Winnipeg says, I don't know any fantasy leagues where a quarterback would be picked in the top 3. McCaffrey, running back, CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, wide receiver, top 3, David. But it ain't a fantasy show. Might be a fantasy that the Chargers make the playoffs, though. That's your team. I know that. How many wins
I'm not even
do you
dreaming
think
of that.
Jim Harbaugh? Yeah.
I'm not dreaming of the Chargers making the playoffs. There's no way. No way.
You're not? How big of a difference does Jim Harbaugh make at SoFi Stadium, you think, in year 1?
Huge over Brandon Staley, but you look at this team, they've lost weapons. Jim Harbaugh's in a rebuild with this team. You look at Justin Herbert, that plantar fasciitis, Rod, it's a nasty injury. One step back too hard on that heel, and he's going to be feeling that pain out there. The offensive line has never been able to give him time, and while we add Joe Alt out there, he's going to give him some protection, but I just don't trust the Chargers offensive line. I can't trust their defense, and then you look at Justin Herbert. Who's he going to get that ball to? He's lost weapons out there. Who is going to be his strong wide receiver? I just don't know, Rod. I think it's going to be a hard season. I already took their win total under 8.5.
Ooh. What did they have last year, 5?
Yeah, 5-12 last season. So 8 wins at the most for me. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any best bets? In the National Football League in week 1, like, for instance, Baltimore, Kansas City. Is there any chance the Ravens go in there and win Thursday night?
Oh, absolutely. We look at Kansas City last season, and in that opening game versus the Detroit Lions, the Lions were able to come out and get the win. And I do think the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, this is a pivotal game because this could come down to, in the playoffs, who's going to get that home field advantage. You know the Baltimore Ravens are ready to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think they have every opportunity. So looking at week 1 here, you can get them at plus 128 right now. I can't believe how much this has moved just from yesterday, Rod, or plus the 3 points. And I would take them for both of those. I think they have every opportunity to go into Kansas City and get the win. The Chiefs, so many moving pieces there with this team. And I do think the Ravens have the opportunity to get it done. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be an epic Thursday night kickoff.
Yeah. I think we all are. And let me ask you this. CeeDee Lamb gets the deal done. Trent Williams arrived in San Fran last night, got his deal done. You think these guys just wanted to miss camp? I mean, they wanted to get paid too, but funny how it would happen now on the eve of week 1.
Yeah, exactly. You look at these players, and yes, they're just wanting to get out of that extra time on the field. And I don't blame them. The abuse their bodies go through out there on the field. And if they were dealing with management and trying to get the extra money, then hold off. But you've got to look at these players and you got to question, do you want CeeDee Lamb, if you're a Cowboys fan, to be betting any of his props, or do you want him on your fantasy team because he hasn't had those practices, those drills out there? I do think players that miss camp and they're not in preseason, well, there's rust. There really is. They need to be out there on the field. So be careful with your CeeDee Lamb props to start the season. I do think after 3-4 games, he's going to be phenomenally strong out there. We know Dak will get him those long balls, but be careful at first, you guys.
I love it. I think we cracked the lid on something. We could go all day, but I'll let you go, Joe. You're like the busiest in this business that I've seen. I just want to say thanks for what you do and how you do it in a classy fashion, and enjoy the football.
Thanks, Rod. You guys, all the best in football season. It's going to be fantastic. Thanks, Rod.
All right. Talk to you soon. Joe Madden from Sports Grid TV. Give her a follow on Twitter at Joe Madden. We'll be right back with a sports update. Moose returns in hour 2, and author Jonathon Jackson and his book, The Making of Slapshot, coming up in hour 2. We're broadcasting live from Johnny O's Gymnasium, Pinchotell, here in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, and we'll be back in a moment on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, live streaming on YouTube, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
First day back in Florida for the winter, and it's going great. It's going fast. Broadcasting live from Johnny O's Gymnasium, our home in Florida, Florida's largest outdoor gym, by the way. Check us out on Boca Raton Avenue. From some comments here from the audience. Palmer Boy, watching in Calgary, says the Pack will win the NFC North. Wayne in BC says, I'm interested in seeing if the Kansas City Chiefs can three-peat, but it'll be a tough task for them. What else do we have here? Randy from Winnipeg says, great game to start the NFL season. Kansas City, Baltimore, top 2 quarterback. Well, that's what, what should I say? The odds makers are saying. Tony from George Fox country, Cochrane, Alberta, says, KC Swifties, can the Swifties Chiefs take over as America's team, Rod? I think they already have. And by the way, Utah Darren wrote in and really digging my San Francisco 49ers themed shirt. This is from our friend Whole Life down here in Florida. Whole Life clothing brand. They've done me an array of NFL colors. Maybe tomorrow I'll wear the Chiefs shirt. Although I feel like I should wait till Thursday for that. Yeah, we're broadcasting live at Johnny O. Very popular gym here in South Florida. We have breaking news. The Edmonton Oilers have signed Leon Draisaitl to an 8-year contract extension worth $112 million. Draisaitl's $14 million salary cap hit beginning next season is the highest in NHL history. Draisaitl and Connor McDavid helped the team reach Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final this past year. Draisaitl, the league's MVP in 2020, was set to be an unrestricted free agent next summer. That's a massive relief for the Oilers, obviously. A, getting it done and getting it done ahead of 1 year from now. I mean, a distraction averted. Honestly, Stan Bowman, Jeff Jackson, whoever's responsible, bravo to the way they've handled this since Ken Holland left. The so-called CFL underdogs enjoyed a rewarding Labor Day Monday. The last place Hamilton Tiger Cats knocked off the visiting Toronto Argonauts 31-28 in an East Division battle in the Hammer, while the last place Edmonton Elks beat the rested Stampeders 35-20 in Calgary. For Hamilton, quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell threw for 347 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Ticats. Was his 7th all-time Labor Day win. He and Zach Collaros now stand alone for the most Labor Day wins as by a quarterback in CFL history, each with 7. Zach won for Winnipeg on Sunday in Sask, and we're going to have a whole lot of Labor Day talk coming up next hour when the Moose rejoins. And looking ahead, too. Sports Update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, blink twice when tech billionaire Slate King, played by Channing Tatum, meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala, Sparks Fly. He invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on his private island. No one wants this trip to end, but as strange things start to happen, Frida begins to question her reality. There's something wrong with this place. She'll have to uncover the truth if she wants to make it out of this party alive. I saw it with Joe. It's very scary. Blink twice. I would recommend it, but go with an open mind, which I know you will. Moose rejoins next hour. Get those questions and comments rolling. 902-518-3033. Draisaitl resigns. Did we expect him not to? All kinds of football. Ball for all. After this brief pause here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Esteban and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so mean. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, man, you have no idea how true that is. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show, everybody. Cracking the lid on a brand new week. Back home in South Florida and broadcasting live from Johnny O's Gymnasium, Florida's largest outdoor covered gym. Check us out on Boca Raton Avenue. Please bring in Moose. He's in Toronto, loving life there, and we can just slow things down a little bit. Like whoever that guy was, Darren, that big major market TV producer that said our show's got ADD. He had nothing on last hour. CFL, Leon Draisaitl signing a new deal with the Oilers, college football, NFL. What else did we not get to? We covered it all, and now we can just settle in and tell some stories. And what are your thoughts coming out of Hour 1?
No, for sure. And you know, it's a lot to wrap your head around because there's NHL news going to start popping up. We're all, I think, excited about NFL Week 1. My head is in college football, both sides of the border. And the CFL is coming off one of the great weekends of the year, Labor Day weekend. So it's hard to keep it all straight, but I think we like it that way.
I should mention that Joe Madden was with us last hour. She anointed the Miami Hurricanes as champions of the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. So just throwing that out there. We did cover it all last hour. Now I want to explain something. Let's just settle down for a second. I'll get to all the comments here in a second. We got a great poll question today that I'll get to. The reason that we're at Johnny O's is this. You know, he's become one of our closest friends. He was with us last hour. The owner of this place, Johnny Olson. I did the show for the last 3 years from our backyard here in Boca, but Serena and I moved. And the place that we're at now, I can't do the show from there. We had a place lined up to do our show when I came back to Florida here over the weekend. That fell through. So Johnny's like, come on down, Rod. Come on down. So we did the show here. And now what him and David are saying is come here every day. So Moose, if you're down, they want us every day. Oh, so hey, why the heck not? That's what they said. I'm like, be careful what you wish for, guys. Are you enjoying the scenery? I got a lot of messages coming in from my friends. They're enjoying what they're seeing around here at Johnny O's too, by the way. It's a very high energy. This is the preferred gym of the NFL players from down here. Was Travis Kelce's home gym. Nick and Joey Bosa, Chris Carter. It's a pretty cool place, huh?
Yeah. And Johnny extended the invitation. I don't know if it'll happen in the next couple of months, but Johnny O was somebody I never met when I came down, so going to have to come and visit.
When you came down, Serena wasn't working here yet at that time. And now she's not, but we just stayed friends with Johnny. But a few things. There's a Cup party Wednesday night that I'm going to be going to. Things change, man. In my life anyway, and Darren's too. Look where he is. Things change. And I'm going to get to your comments in a second. Hang on. But I was on the radio in Edmonton this morning, and I get that Kevin Karius and Eddie Steele aren't going to be up with my life, per se. But I said, yeah, I'm with the South Florida Tribune now, covering the Panthers and the Lightning, and that's going to be my thing. Going to a Stanley Cup party on Wednesday night. The Cup's going to be there. Things move, man. Not stale in our world. I'm looking forward to that part. This is home. And will I go back next summer to Canada? I don't know. BW in Edmonton writes in, and he says, Rod, next summer you can make a trip to Sylvan Lake, Gold Stadium, and then go see a movie at Landmark Cinema there. Yeah, maybe. Bomber Boy writes in, he says, hey, Rod, any thoughts on the Caleros hit? Utah Darren writes in and says, I thought you were avoiding the lawn guy. Nah, he gone. Scott in Vancouver says, hit the like, everybody. Hit the likes if you're watching on YouTube. But we are on Game Plus Television and WQEE Radio. And a more fun thing, before we get to the hit on Zach Caleros, which our poll question is this: are sideline and halftime and intermission interviews necessary? It's now 72% of respondents saying, no, they're not necessary. And we're talking, of course, about Nathan Rourke and the Touchdown Pacific game on Saturday, where I said he big-time Farhan in the interview, the face of the CFL. Next year, going to be the highest-paid player in the CFL, big-timed, the halftime sideline reporter Farhan. How would you typify that? What term would you use, what he did to Farhan?
Yeah, I would just say he blew off the interview. Did the bare minimum, and he blew him off early, and it wasn't a great look.
Ooh, blew him off. Hey, pretty much the same thing. So Mark writes in, and I'm not sure where Mark is at, but he says, in regards to the Nathan Rourke interview with Farhan, perhaps the TSN crew needs to start asking better, more original questions. The questions are predictable and boring. I would run away too. Let me just walk that back for a second. I've done that job, and there's a guy that looks like Travis Kelce over here, but it's not. I literally had to do a double take because it is his off-season gym. I've done that interview, and it's probably the worst job. You've heard me reference, and Darren's done it too. You've heard me reference many, many times. I started working in the CFL in 1991, and just so you know, I was 18. I was 18 years old when I started being a sideline reporter in the CFL. Just throw them in. Toughest job in the business. As far as I'm concerned, it is. And here's why. You're dealing with the athletes in the heat of the game. Okay? That's why they're there. They're pros. They coach. They play. They're not thinking about the damn interview. And in a way, I kind of get where Nathan was coming from. Now, you also have to do them. You need to find a way to do them because the interviews aren't going away. But my job, not only, all right, did I have the toughest job ever, I was on the visitor sidelines at Taylor Field. Do you think the other team wants to give you injury information in the Labor Day Classic? Winnipeg? Huh? That was my job as an 18-year-old little farm kid, literally right off the farm. Barely had hair on my peaches. Probably didn't. And I got to stick my mic in there and interview Cal Murphy? After the Riders just kicked their ass?
Hot damn.
Why are we doing this? Now, having said that, it's given me some of the best stories of my life. Got to interview John Candy when he was that same season. Interviewed John Candy as the owner of the Argos. So that's exciting. So for me, it's good. But I think, Darren, you tell me a story of you doing sidelines. Maybe you found it easy. I did not.
Some games I found it incredibly easy, and other games I found it incredibly difficult. It depends on who you're talking to, and you have personalities. Like when I'm at the beginning, and I had watched some horror stories, and so it's so important to have the relationships, and often that's why you get the cliche questions, because in a difficult situation, all you're thinking about is getting through the interview and not having an embarrassing moment. So let's just say, hey, how was the first half? And let them give off the cliche. What do you got to do better in the second half? Boom. And you get out of there pretty much unscathed. Nothing noteworthy, a waste of an interview, but you dodge a bullet. Other times, you want to ask about a quarterback's play or a certain injury or something like that. And you got to be very confident in your relationship with a coach to ask questions and know that he's not going to bite your head off. Or the same thing with the player. It's not easy.
One of the best people to do it is Sarah Orleski, now of the Winnipeg Jets, but for years on TSN, because everybody respected her, everybody loved her, and she got those tidbits, she got those stories, but that's incredibly rare. Nobody's going to blow her off. Nobody would. Kind of surprised Nathan Rourke would do it because Farhan's been his biggest supporter since day one. But anyways, enough about that. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, hard to beat South Florida, Rod. I know, right? And I'll be honest, that's another thing. I got home here and yesterday went to the storage facility where I had my Jeep. Literally, Serena drove me up to it was in a storage shed. She rolls down the windows and gives up. And I'm like, and it fired right up. Fired right up. First try. My guy, I've spent a lot of money on that thing. But you treat it like gold. Reno always says that whether it's working in the gym, vehicle repairs, or your own health, pay now or pay later. I put all that work in the Jeep, and now it runs like a song, running just like a song. Oh, and the other thing is, South Florida. I've been around everywhere, and this is the best place I've ever been. It's funny because I was talking, a little more stories, I was talking to Hustler the other night at Baller's Rec Room. That was where the after party was after the alumni golf event. And Hustler's like, he didn't know that I started working for the South Florida Tribune, which is totally fine. But Hustler was like, do you have a budget to travel? I'm like, Hustler, I don't want to travel. I don't want to travel. Why? Anybody who comes to South Florida never wants to leave Florida. I don't want to leave. Why would I want to go anywhere else? I have a budget to go to Tampa Bay. That's all I need. Okay? And the other thing is, I'm a columnist. It's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. Manifest a positive outcome. Manifest a positive outcome. Just trust me.
Well, they're awake.
Beautiful.
Oh, when Wayne in Victoria, BC says, Johnny O seems like a fun guy. That's great that you found a place to do the show from. Just so you know, Johnny O's been running this gym for over 20 years. Very close friends with Dan Marino, Chris Carter. All those current NFL players work out here. We got some fun stuff coming down the pipe. Stay tuned. Now, Tyson, to get serious, Tyson writes in, and I'm not sure where he's from. Where are you from, Tyson? He goes, what are your thoughts on that Winnipeg player tweeting about fighting in the CFL? Well, I'm on top of that one. Lucky White, well, I didn't see the hit on Zach Caleros. I'll be perfect. I was on a plane. I haven't seen it anywhere in the highlights. So just in chronological order, Bomber Boy actually paid to have his question answered. So I don't have thoughts because I didn't see it. Do you have any?
Yeah, I do. Bad hit, shouldn't be in the game. And here's how I would assess the hit. I don't believe it was a deliberate hit to the head or a targeting to the head, or he was trying to, hit Collaros in the head. But it was a bit of a look of he turned the shoulder and kind of looked back like, I'm going to pretend I don't see this, and shouldered him, right? I'm going to make sure I get a hit on him and try and get away with a hit and take a deliberate shot at the quarterback, which should never be allowed. Probably worthy of a fine. Do I think he meant to hit him in the head? Maybe not, but not a great hit.
Okay, well, here's my... By the way, I didn't really investigate it because I don't want to hear about headshots between Winnipeg and Saskatchewan games, because I was broadcasting the 2018 Western semifinal, which, by the way, was the last game I ever did in the Canadian Football League, when the Bombers' Jackson Jeffcoat took off Brandon Bridges' head. A clear and obvious attempt to injury knocked him out of the game, and the Bombers won. So don't talk to me about headshots on Bomber quarterback. That's all. I don't have any time for it. And by the way, if you go back and look it up, Jackson Jeffcoat, Brandon Bridge, just Google it. He got fined for that. So what? Speeding ticket. The whole idea is to knock the player out of the game. And they did. How's it feel, Wade? Oh, here it is. It's Rich in Edmonton regarding the fighting. He said, I saw there was a serious brawl in the stands behind the Bombers bench. Idiocy. Well, that's East Side, which, by the way, is as rough as anywhere in pro football. I talked about being on the sidelines in 1991 as an 18-year-old radio reporter. East Side. Wear a helmet. It's in my 10 Things column. I would assume you read it, but I said you fire up this rivalry, trash talk back and forth from the team's social media accounts, get everybody liquored up, and then wonder why this happens. I have no problem with it. I don't like that it went viral, but you also can't control social media. Your college football has a right with not serving booze in the stands. Simple. Like, I don't have... And then somebody said, thoughts on the player tweeting about it. Lucky Whitehead, Blue Bombers receiver returner, said, I want to buy the guy in the Andrew Harris jersey a beer. And then he's getting flamed for that, which took him a long time to take the tweet down. I don't think people understand. It would be real nice if we could just play like a bunch of nice little boys and have the fans drink their faces off and everybody go home happy. It's a violent game played by violent people. Stuff happens. What are we going to do? Are we going to identify the people in the video and charge them with assault? Or just, this happens in almost, well, I said, every NFL stadium this week, this will happen. You'll probably see videos of it. I don't get why it's such a big deal, or for that matter, why Lucky's even in trouble for what he said. I don't have it. I don't. That's my take. I don't know why people are on his ass. You?
We see it in hockey arenas. We see it in basketball stadiums. We see it in baseball stadiums, football stadiums. And we don't want this to be a regular occurrence. We don't want this to be an occurrence at all. I don't think anybody's sitting here advocating it or trying to sweep it under the rug and say this is okay, because it's not. It's idiot fans that, if you can't handle your liquor and, cheer and even, antagonize the opposition but not cross a line, then you probably shouldn't be there in the first place. But this shouldn't be a shock. This does happen, and you're right. It's going to happen in most NFL stadiums this weekend. I've seen it several times. It's not great, but it happens.
I've seen the comments from people on this. Way to promote the CFL by posting this. I'm so over that. Just the idiots commenting on social media. I go in there for the entertainment, but I don't get fired up. Yeah, it's not a CFL thing, and I don't get fired up by that. Doesn't make me mad. It happens in every stadium. Fans get drunk, and it's also been going on for you. You want the old days? That's the other thing. I see people saying they're going into Mosaic Stadium, Rider fans that I'm friends with on social media. This feels like the old days. Yeah? You got it at the end. Yep, that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted. So what are you bitching about? I don't understand. I'm over it. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in, he says, hi, Rod and Moose. No more halftime interviews. Rourke is a prima donna. Zach Collaros is fragile. That was a tap. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in and says, the way the Elks are playing from Edmonton, they're the best team in the West. Looking forward to the back-to-back Bombers and Elks coming up. Riders are in a heap of trouble as per usual. Since COVID, Riders are 25, 35, and 1. Embarrassing that those at the top are still employed with the team. That's another conversation that I'm over with. I told you for a long time, this is where it's going. Now it's here. Have fun. I will be back with Moose in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, live streaming on YouTube as always, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're brought to you in part by EMJ Marketing. Connect with thought leaders and industry experts through EMJ Marketing's Speaker Bureau, emjmarketing.com. First day back in Florida, and nope, hasn't changed. Still beautiful. But we are live from Johnny O's Gymnasium, Florida's only, I keep saying only, not the only, but the largest outdoor covered turf gym. Come check us out, Boca Raton Avenue. Please bring in the Moose. He's in Toronto. Before we delve back into the sports, I smile and nod. It's very hard to stay. It's very hard to stay in the mood of happy when you got comments like this. Kirk from Toronto writes in and he says, "Hi, Rod. A few direct hurricanes might change your mind. Can you just stop? Like, there's natural disasters in Canada, too. Do I need to bring up Jasper? I swear to God, like, the only place that's real safe is Regina, Saskatchewan. But lived there for a half a century. I think we're good. I'm going to go try something else." Which, by the way, a cyclone hit in 1912. Killed a bunch of people. So even there isn't necessarily always safe. So you do you, Kirk, in Toronto. I'll do me. And there's a lot of people there. It is Canada's daytime sports talk show here on Game Plus TV and WQEE Radio. I'll say this again. The biggest news of the day, the breaking news, because we are on the air across Canada on Game Plus in 31 U.S. states. The Edmonton Oilers have signed Leon Draisaitl to an 8-year contract extension worth $112 million. His $14 million per season kicking in next year is the highest in NHL history. Draisaitl was the league's MVP back in 2022, and he was set to become a UFA, unrestricted free agent, next summer. I want to just spend a second on this. Not for 1 second did I think he was going to go. And by the way, where was he going to go? I want just your take on this, because he wasn't taking a hometown discount to stay. You know, Mandy in Edmonton wrote in here earlier and said, well, I think he wanted to stay with McDavid. Nah, I think he wanted to get paid and become the largest, highest paid cap hit in NHL history. That wasn't his goal, but he wanted the most money as possible. Without fail. There's very few people willing to take less money in pro athletes, Darren. Very few. Can you think of any?
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I mean, we've seen some quarterbacks take a little less money than market value. Tom Brady, I think Patrick Mahomes, in order to have teams around him, and win some championships. But this really doesn't happen in sports these days. Now, I don't think that Leon Draisaitl was exactly looking to leave, but he was looking to get top dollar for sure and get what he was worth. And I think he accomplished that. I think what he wanted, in my guess, would be to make the money and stay in Edmonton. And it sounds like they've accomplished both of those things.
Well, and by the way, that's another thing. He's proven he's been around long enough. Whether it's the NFL, like CeeDee Lamb, Trent Williams, Jamar Chase up there in Cincy. I've never been a general manager, but is it not still just simple business? If the players are forcing your hand and you feel you don't want to let them get away, like Leon, they decided they couldn't or wouldn't match Philip Broberg or Dylan Holloway because they knew they were going to have to pay Leon. If you want something, something's got to go. It's simple business, right? And the players pretty much always know nowadays, for whatever reason, they're going to get what they want. By the way, Rich in Edmonton says, second in points and goals since 2017. 14 mil is fair market value. Absolutely. All I'm saying is he didn't pull a Tom Brady and say, I want to take less and stay in Edmonton to spend more at other positions, which is what Tom did in New England. What Leon did isn't wrong. Just saying, don't think that he took a discount to stay at Edmonton, nor should he. Nor should he. But he didn't. I don't want to get mired down in the minutia of this, but John Ohm in Winnipeg says the Lucky Whitehead tweet has ticked a lot of people off, saying he will buy the Bomber fan a beer for fighting. How lucky is that? I think it's misplaced anger from a Rider fan who's upset his team lost the game. Direct your anger at the Rough Riders, who somebody wrote in here earlier and said, how did you feel about the way Trevor Harris played and receivers were dropping the balls? I would be far more concerned about the fact that Trevor Harris is back and healthy and you're 0-3 with him since he came back. Don't get mad at Lucky Whitehead, which it's only Tuesday, very early in the week for a life tip. But let me say this. I had somebody at the after party Saturday night at Ballers Rec Room upset about a GoFundMe that was involved for the Goudreau family. I don't know all the details because, again, I don't spend a lot of time on this. But the lady said to me, do you think that's right? And I said to her, given how much he makes, I'm like, can I ask you to ask yourself, how does it affect your life? She got it. She saw it in her eyes. I saw it in her eyes. She's like, it doesn't affect my life. And it's like this Lucky Whitehead tweet in the fights in the stands. John, how does it affect your life? Ask yourself that. Daniel writes in, he says, I was at Touchdown Pacific. What a great time. The Lions looked so much better. Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in and says, Leon Draisaitl hides behind the greatness of McDavid. Okay, you're a Bomber fan living in Calgary, so your opinion on Edmonton is immediately discounted. Thanks for playing. I just want to say this. I don't know why this came up. By the way, people think I'm nuts. Let's just go with that. But I'll say this. I was saying this on the radio in Edmonton this morning. As a columnist for the South Florida Tribune, as what I am, I don't even need to go to the dang game. And I sure as heck don't need to go to the practices. I will when I can, but I get it all figured out. Living in South Florida, covering the NHL teams, and writing a weekly column, to me, it don't get better than that. And that's what I'm doing, just so you all know. That's the plan. The ship has come in. There was some choppy waters, but the ship has come in. Now, to Touchdown Pacific, unfortunately for me, I was hosting that golf tournament on Saturday, and the supper was amazing, but I didn't really see one single snap of it. I tried to dial it up. It looked pretty good. It looked pretty good on television, but I didn't see much of it. How did you feel the whole Touchdown Pacific thing came off in the Canadian Football League on the weekend?
I thought it looked great. I thought it got lost a little bit in Labor Day weekend as just another game part of Labor Day weekend, as opposed to having it on a separate weekend where it can be front and center and be the biggest game of the whole week, right? And everything's focused around Touchdown Pacific. So I didn't love that part of it, but it looked great. It looked awesome. The crowd was good. I wish these things could be in bigger stadiums, but they just don't exist in markets outside the Canadian Football League. So I thought it was good. And the BC Lions, as probably if you were the league, you would want them to play as good as they did in Victoria in the home province for Touchdown Pacific. Nathan Rourke played well. I don't know if you could draw it up much better.
I thought it came off very well. A closer game might have been nice, but you know what? So what? The home team won, and Bob's your uncle. Jed's a millionaire.
Bob's your uncle.
John Ohm. Just always got to have the last word on the Lucky Whitehead thing. I said, how does it affect your life? He writes in, just saying. I said, some people. I could care less. You brought it up, bro. I can do this all day. 902-518-3033. Rich in Edmonton says, I was told by a Red Blacks insider that Touchdown Pacific was fantastic. Yeah, that's the other thing. On the radio in Edmonton this morning, 1440, I was on with Carius and Steele, and they said the CFL has to be very happy with the way the weekend came off, and I'm like, more than anything, full house in Hamilton, close to 30,000 in Calgary, great weather in all places, and I'm sure the commissioner was sitting in a big gaming chair in his office in Toronto going, thank God no officiating scandals coming out of week 13. Because I would think there's a lot of things to worry about if you're the commissioner of a pro sports league. And one of the biggest things in the CFL is the officiating, unfortunately. And they got out of a weekend with no scandals. That's a biggie. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, very big, important. And they did that. And I think that, I never heard anything really. I mean, aside from a couple of tweets about some calls not going your team's way, there was really nothing about the officiating or the command center. And I like to hear that.
Allie checking in. She says, hey, RP, Moose and Squad. I have training at work this week, just now getting to check in. Hey, Allie, we've been talking hockey. I assume you heard the big news. Leon Draisaitl has signed a new contract with the Edmonton Oilers, kicking in next year, $14 million to the salary cap, highest in NHL history. Where the heck was it? Bomber Boy said something along the lines of, you mean to say he couldn't have got more elsewhere? Here it is. Bomber Boy, you mean to tell me that someone wouldn't have been willing to pay Leon more? Probably not. Probably not. I guess he could have waited a year to find out. I'm thinking it's a relief for everybody to have Leon Draisaitl signed here, just days away from training camp. Holy smokes, we're running out of time. Regarding the poll question, are halftime interviews necessary? Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, I could live with the halftime interviews going away. I understand why they're done, but I'm confident they would not be missed. But see, Glenn, you're a media guy like me and Darren. The media people, we all get it. You got to do it. The guys said it the best, having their helmets off so the viewers can see their face. They don't get as much TV time as they used to, but as I said, it would be nice. Forget about those interviews. Send them down to the local television stations in the morning, the CTV Morning Live, the Global Morning News. Have them sitting on the couch. But, oh, wait. Players don't want to do that anymore, Rod. I'll back out now. Here's Homer going back into the brush. Oh, okay. Moose, this has been fun. See you tomorrow.
You bet. See you tomorrow.
Very excited for our next guest, Jonathon Jackson, the author of The Making of Slapshot, my favorite all-time movie. Comes up next. We're live from Johnny O's Gymnasium in Boca Raton, Florida. Here on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, live streaming on YouTube, of course, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bernard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We're broadcasting live from South Florida. Just a note on our poll question. Should halftime intermission interviews go away? 72% saying yes. Jim's watching in New Jersey. He says, best halftime interview I saw was when Saban in the national title game cited his quarterback needed to play better at the time. Was Jalen Hurts switched to Tua. Yeah, and they went on to win the game. Glenn in Medicine Hat says, you nailed it, RP. Those tried and true ways for players to become more recognizable in the community and across the country seem to have become a little too old school these days. Right. But I'll do it. So I'll do it and do those media tours. I'll do the interviews on the other side of the camera. Just don't be mad when I start to reap the benefits. Speaking of benefits, anytime you watch Slapshot, it's a benefit. Jonathon Jackson is the author of The Making of Slapshot. It didn't take long. Hey, Jonathon, thanks for everything. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for writing the book. People are already writing in, owns. Is there a chance you like the show better than me and my wife, Serena, because it's both of our favorite movie of all time?
Well, it's definitely my favorite movie of all time. I've been watching it, I don't want to say nonstop since I was about 12 years old, but yeah, it's at least once a year, usually more than that.
Attaboy. So tell me about the book and the genesis for writing it.
Well, I was a newspaper reporter working in my hometown, Owen Sound, Ontario, and I was doing some freelance magazine writing, and I heard about a charity golf tournament. It was a cast reunion at a golf club near Toronto, and so I went to this tournament thinking it would be kind of cool to write about these guys, these cast members, about what they were doing now, and I thought I could get a magazine article out of it. So I met these guys, and they were telling me stories, and they were coming at me so fast and so furious that I thought, I'm going to have way too much material to fit into a magazine article. And as it happened, I was chatting with the late Paul D'Amato, who played Tim Dr. Hook McCracken, and just thinking out loud, I said, has anybody ever written a book about this? And he said, no. And I said, maybe somebody should. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, maybe somebody should. And so I took that as a green light, and away I went. And the more people I interviewed about it, it just snowballed, and people would say, well, who have you talked to? I would tell them, they'd say, okay, well, have you talked to so-and-so? And they would put me in touch with so-and-so, and it just went from there really organically. It was awesome.
And Tim, Dr. Hook McCracken just passed away recently, did he not?
That's correct. Yes, he did.
Yeah, we're all big fans. John Ohm writes in from Winnipeg. He says, Slapshot, my favorite sports movie. Awesomeness. Well, it's my favorite movie overall. So I guess I've already asked you why you did it. Tell me more. Obviously, I'm going to get the book because I want to know everything I need to know about Slapshot. What do I need to know about Slapshot? What would surprise me that's in there?
That's a good question. It might surprise you to learn that it was Paul Newman's favorite film of any that he ever made. I don't know if you were already aware of that, but that's a tidbit. As a matter of fact, his favorite line that he ever delivered on camera was from that movie, but it's not for family-friendly audiences, so maybe I can't repeat it here. But yeah, it was based on a real-life hockey team, of course, the Johnstown Jets of the North American Hockey League. It was a fictional chronicle of their 1974-75 championship season, where they were like literally the Cinderella team that came out of nowhere to win the title, and a lot of guys from that team, appeared in the movie in one facet or another, whether they were playing for the Charlestown Chiefs or whether they were playing for one of the opposing teams. Bruce Boudreau is probably the most famous Johnstown Jet who was in the movie as an extra.
Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, the Syracuse player introductions before the final game, some of the best moments in the history of film. Oh, yeah, we all know. I'll tell you what, the vernacular. When I was standing on the concourse of the Saddle Dome in Calgary, I told a good friend of mine, Curtis Hunt, who runs the Prince Albert Raiders, told him I was moving to Florida. He immediately brought out of his mouth, I go to Florida and I get the money. I said, exactly. Why do you think, aside from the obvious reasons, because it's so great, but why do you think the movie took off the way that it did? Because there's been a lot of hockey movies, just hockey movies. Why do you think this one was so popular?
Well, initially it wasn't popular. I mean, it was a moderate hit at the box office, but it was nowhere near what the expectations were, with Paul Newman as the star, George Roy Hill as the director, and the previous two times they had collaborated, it was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Sting. And at the time, they were both in the top 10 all-time box office. So they were expecting bigger things from Slapshot. It was a hit, not a huge one. But it became a cult classic over the years because, as hockey teams were traveling on buses and buses got, VHS players installed, it became like the road trip movie. And it just caught on, and it just never stopped after that. And there are kids probably nowadays that are probably still watching it on road trips. And it's just one of those movies that it's lasted because even though it's a period piece, I mean, you look at it and hockey doesn't look like that anymore, but it's still, one of the most realistic hockey movies out there. There have been quite a few hockey movies, but a lot of them just really aren't that great, So it's lasted because of the quality.
I agree,
and it's a rite of passage, for a lot of young hockey players.
It's funny you say that because I'm like, maybe these hockey movies would be better. I just compare them all to Slapshot, and they're nowhere near. But when we're talking about the Tooth Fairy with The Rock and Mighty Duck, it's not. So here's the one thing that I always thought. It was written by Nancy Dowd, correct?
Yes.
I always heard that she had a brother on the Johnstown Jets, and that was the genesis for her writing it. Is that a true story or no?
That is a true story. Nancy's brother's name was Ned Dowd. He played for the Johnstown Jets, and as the story goes, one night he placed a call to her. The team wasn't doing well. There was talk that they might fold. Nancy asked who owned the team. Ned didn't know who owned the team, which became, the part of the plot line in Slapshot. It was well known in Johnstown who owned the team. It just happened that Ned didn't know. So she decided to go visit Ned. She stayed with the Jets. She went to their games. She hung out in their dressing room. She went on road trips. She was with them for probably about a month, just sort of taking it all in. And when she left a tape recorder for Ned to record just conversations in the dressing room, on the bus, wherever. He sent the tapes to Nancy. Nancy turned that dialogue into a screenplay. So a lot of the things that you hear in the movie are based on real life incidents that happened in Johnstown with the Jets. And
they had to be, of course.
Oh yeah,
you couldn't make that stuff up.
And so Ned was hired as the technical advisor for the film, and he ended up in the movie himself. He plays Ogie Oglethorpe.
Brent in Wellington, Florida, writes in and says, I mean, any movie with a guy named Ogie from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan is a good one. Billy Charles Boy is from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, but thank you. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes that he says, in my hockey bag is a pair of those black lens glasses, nose torn off and white tape on the bridge of the glasses. Always wore them in our beer league. Classic Hansen brothers. Well, I did an event, probably one of the highlights of my life, Kinsman dinner in Saskatoon, and the Hansen brothers were there. I won't say which one got so drunk he fell off the stage. Literally. I almost wonder if, I don't even think they were acting. That's the way they are. Even though they're Carlsons, not Hansons, but.
But I have to ask, were you in Saskatoon or were you a little bit south of Saskatoon?
A little bit south of Saskatoon.
How about that?
What was the name of the guy? Sonny. I can't remember who wrote and recorded that song. There you go.
Yeah,
Sonny James. Well, Jonathan, obviously, Sonny James, you and I are cut from the same cloth. How can we get a hold of this book?
It's available. So originally it was published with a traditional publisher. It went out of print many years ago. I regained the rights and I published it on my own last year. It's available on Amazon. Here's the cover for anyone who's interested. If you go on Amazon, you look for The Making of Slapshot. You want this cover right here. The old cover, don't buy that one. And this is a revised and updated edition. It's got all new opening chapter, epilogue, rewritten throughout. It's got photo sections. The original book, if anybody's watching, you happen to have that. This book has photo sections, so lots of great photos, including some that have never been published before. So it's available on Amazon, wherever you want to buy books, and I'm trying to get it into traditional stores in time for this coming shopping season. I didn't have time to do it last year, but I'm really working hard to try to get it into the Indigo chain. But fingers crossed.
Yeah, I know how that works. I've written 3. Jonathan, congratulations on all. Thank you. Keep in touch, and good luck with it.
Thanks, Rod. Appreciate having me on. Thank you.
Jonathon Jackson, the author of The Making of Slapshot. What more do you need to know? We'll be right back with Overtime after this, live from Johnny O's Gymnasium. Sports update and one final viewer takeover. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio. Live on YouTube, as always, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, Let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, everybody, we're back for overtime, final segment. Things have quietened down here at Johnny O's Gymnasium. That's where we're broadcasting from, and maybe forever. The invite was extended today by Johnny O. He loves the show. Speaking of loving the show, John Ohm, no relation, in Winnipeg, writes in and says, great interview, Rod. I have a Slapshot Chiefs jersey. Love it. Clark's responsible for Jonathon Jackson. Clark figured it would be right in our wheelhouse, and it was. Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. Hockey players, are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary with state-of-the-art shooting lanes and top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. I get it. They all want to talk about Slapshot now. Freddie in Winnipeg writes in, and he says, I saw the movie when I was 7. When my dad took me to the theater when it came out, I got a lot of bad looks, my dad told me. He got a lot of bad looks, my dad told me. Greatest hockey movie, period. I think that's great parenting. And I was probably not that much older when I watched it for the first time. Jim in Vancouver, Dirty 30, Jim Young, Hall of Fame Lions receiver. He says, I remember the days playing in Saskatchewan. Fans would throw bottles at us. One time someone threw a beer with the cap still on. Ray Nettles took the cap off and chugged it. Good one, Jim. Speaking on behalf of all Saskatchewan fans, I'm sure you deserved it.
How about that?
Sports update. The Toronto Blue Jays open a 2-game series with the Philadelphia Phillies at Rogers Center tonight. Chris Bassett starts on the mound for the Jays, while the Phillies counter with Tyler Phillips. Meanwhile, more tributes are pouring in from the hockey community after the deaths of NHL player Johnny Gaudreau and brother Matthew. Jaromir Jagr posted on social media about Gaudreau assisting on his 766th and final goal in the league when they were teammates with the Flames in 2018. Donations also continue to pile up to support Matthew's widow, Madeline, who was pregnant with the couple's first child. A GoFundMe set up by Madeline's sister, Holland Corbett, and verified by the company has raised more than $500,000. The Oilers have signed Leon Draisaitl to an 8-year contract extension worth $112 million. Draisaitl's $14 million salary cap hit beginning next season is the highest in NHL history. Draisaitl and Connor McDavid led the Oilers to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final this past year. Draisaitl was set to become an unrestricted free agent next summer. The sports updates are brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for sporting events and concerts. It's Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at seatgiant.ca. And also brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. It's not Monday, it's Tuesday. Do you all keep thinking that it's Monday? Because I do. Every Monday is Seniors Day at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price. And to sweeten the deal, 20% off at the concession, too. It's a deal that never gets old. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. So we covered it all. We missed a day this week, of course, with Labor Day Monday not having a show. So I hope you enjoyed what we brought forth for you. A big thank you to Johnny O's fantastic facility to broadcast from. They've extended the invitation today to stay here. John O in Winnipeg says, I need to visit Johnny O's gym in Florida. Brother from another mother. He's a beauty. If you missed it, Johnny O did a cameo way back in the opening segment when the Moose was with us. I'm going to remind everybody, please spell check your comments when you're writing in. I would have liked to have gotten to more, but yeah, more CFL talk, college talk, NFL talk, and hockey talk. That's what we do here. We'll do it all again.
Who has more fun than us?